It's been said a million times how out of touch Nintendo is with the world around them, and it should be said a million more times because it is laughable how archaic and primitive and disconnected from reality Nintendo is. If Nintendo was an army, they would still be fighting using muskets. Nintendo is like inhabited by nothing but Neanderthals afraid of fire. If you walked into the Nintendo office and said the word technology or internet, they'd all collectively hide under their desks out of fear. It is pathetic how behind the times Nintendo is. Why am I talking about Nintendo? It's because they've just done two incredibly fucking dumb things in the last 12 hours, back to back. A double whammy, double fisting the entire online community. The first thing they did is start striking Twitch streamers for playing their Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity game on stream a little early. And the reason they're playing the game early is because it came out in their area. Nintendo doesn't understand that time zones exist. They think everything is Nintendo time, baby. So the game is legally out in Australia and other parts of the world, so they just started streaming the game, but Nintendo doesn't fucking know that, so they think they've pirated the game, so they struck their channel down as a result. If you told Nintendo that other places have different time than what they see on the clock in their office, they'd call you a liar, heretic, flat earth, conspiracy theorist, all kinds of crazy shit, because it looks like they don't understand how fucking time zones work. That's how delusional Nintendo is. Nintendo is to gaming what the workers at Disney World are to the magic of imagination, locked in a fantasy world. They can't process reality or what the fuck is even going on in the world, it feels like. You need to look no further than the Nintendo Online service, the worst online functionality that you have to fucking pay a fee for. Whereas most things, like on PC and shit, you don't have to pay to play online. For Nintendo, you do, and you get the worst service. It's like a service you would find out of a dumpster 20 years ago. Like, it's terrible. It's fucking terrible. It makes me wonder how they even develop games in the first place with this archaic understanding of technology and the internet. Keep in mind, this is the company that used to strike YouTube videos and entire channels if you even played Mario Kart or had Mario soundtrack in your videos. That was only like 5 or 6 years ago. It wasn't even long ago. Nintendo probably still uses pigeon-carried mail as opposed to electronic mail because they're afraid of the email boogeyman. Now, aside from just this ridiculous striking crusade they went on today, they also decided to cease and desist a major Super Smash Bros. Melee tournament because they were using Slippy. I'm not going to get too deep into what Slippy is, but in a nutshell, it allows Super Smash Bros. Melee to be played online via emulator with rollback netcode, and it is the best possible online experience you can find for Melee. And since the world is still experiencing a pandemic, they can't have Melee tournaments in person, obviously, so they were using Slippy, and Nintendo put their fingers up their ass and got real stinky about it, sent out a full cease and desist to shut it all down. Just classic Nintendo shitting on everybody's fun and not understanding anything of what they're doing and how it affects people. Nintendo's whole brand image is about making content for the whole family to enjoy, but it seems like they prefer fucking families in the ass. They've always had a bad reputation when it comes to anything involving consumers and communities. They don't care about communities, they just like to slap them around and use them. And now, of course, you have the 15-year-old certified Twitter lawyers weighing in on the legality of Nintendo stepping in and shutting this down. Well, it's well within Nintendo's rights to shut this down. I mean, it is their property, and it is an emulated version of their game. I think it's totally fine they shut it down. It's Nintendo, and I think that's okay. Well, asshole, I mean, we could debate the legality of emulators all night and day, but at the end of the day, this is a 20-year-old game. I don't think they're somehow missing out on sales by having people emulate and play it online. I don't think there's anyone out there scratching at their neck right now waiting for Christmas so they can finally get a GameCube in Super Smash Bros. Melee. I highly doubt that, but what could happen is some people tune into a massive Smash Bros. Melee tournament, see how much fun the game is, and then go out of their way to become a fan of Super Smash Bros., where they likely do buy Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for the Switch, you know? There's a lot of things that could happen in regards to getting new audience, a new player base from watching an old game being played that Nintendo isn't making any money on these days. I don't think Super Smash Bros. Melee is somehow a cash cow at Nintendo HQ. They likely forgot they even made the fucking game. So yes, you and I can plop by the fireplace with an open bathrobe and debate the legality and whether or not Nintendo is well within their rights to shut it down till the cows come home. But it doesn't matter. The fact remains that it's still a douchey thing to do. It's a nearly 20-year-old property. Why are they trying to enforce that intellectual property tooth and nail and dictate how people can enjoy that game from that many decades ago? It's not worth it. Just let people have their fucking fun. It's not a hard concept. Nintendo's supposed to be all about fun, right? Like, you know, fun for the whole family, all this and that. So what is the point in being so nasty and heavy-handed on everything relating to their property? It's a worthless fight that they decide to take with the community that supports them. It's pathetic. They absolutely just slap around the people that really like their games. It's really sad shit. And Nintendo is just so out of touch with the world that it is laughable. And it's really upsetting that they continue to operate this way without any consequence. They will always seem to be supported by the general population of gamers, even though they have no respect for gamers or anything in that ballpark. They probably don't even know what a gamer is. I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo's under the assumption that they're making pharmaceutical products or something. I really don't understand how the fuck they even make games with this basic level of understanding of the internet. It blows my fucking mind. It really does. They are so incredibly out of touch. And there's a hashtag floating around for Melee right now, which is hashtag free Melee, hoping that Nintendo will see it and retract their decision to shut this big event down. Hopefully it works, but I can tell you right now, Nintendo doesn't know what Twitter is. Nintendo's Twitter account is run by one guy in their basement that they don't even pay. And he said, let's just make a Twitter account. And they said, fuck you, just do whatever, stay in that basement. They don't know what that is. They probably won't see it. Would love to be proven wrong. Hopefully Free Melee does something, but I just wanted to vent about Nintendo. That's about it. So yeah. I want to start by addressing the greasy elephant in the room. My hair is not wet from a shower. In fact, quite the opposite. Hygiene is a thing of the past in Tampa right now. This is just thick, caked-on layers of grease and filth. I look like a Madame Tussauds wax statue. But it's not by choice. I'm not choosing to revert to troglodyte instincts and just turn my room into some kind of 4chan masturbatorium cum dumpster where all of a sudden I just give up on showers or anything. It's because Tampa, in all of its baffling, stunning glory, found a way to blow up the water main yesterday or 2 days ago, however long it's been. It's been 2 days without a shower for me. Because a third party was doing work on the city and they found a way to just bust that fucking bad boy completely sky high and flood half the city. I don't know what kind of work they were doing. Knowing Tampa, they were probably trying to find rare opals by just using dynamite in the streets, hoping to get lucky or something, and they ended up just blasting the pipes. But either way, it contaminated the water supply, so we're under a boil water notice and I can't shower. Rather, I don't want to shower. The city says the city will have you believe the water is safe to bathe in, just not consume. And now I'm going full conspiracy theory fucking Redditor here, and I'm starting to question the truthfulness of that kind of statement, because if the water's safe to bathe, but not consume, how safe is it really? And I'm a hypochondriac already, so I just don't want to take the chance. Knowing Tampa, they're probably just dumping raw plutonium directly into the water supply. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they just said, hey, this radioactive chemical power plant needs to be drained. Might as well just do it right into the water main here and just further contaminate the water supply. No one will notice. So I'm just, I'm not going down that path. I bought like a case of water bottles to try and bathe myself with after this video. So we'll see how that goes, but I just wanted to explain that right away. So it's only been a week since the last time I shit on Nintendo, and I want to again reiterate, fuck Nintendo. And within that week, they've somehow found more interesting and creative ways to just be hated. It's like they're speed running to try and become the most hated video game company in the fucking world, and they're succeeding. In the last video I made talking about their shit, I kind of chalked a lot of it up to just them being technologically incompetent and out of touch and afraid of change. But after the last week or so, I genuinely just believe this company is evil. I really think that they just hate gamers or their audience that they try and cater to, and do anything they can and go out of their way to keep dropping their fucking butthole in the mouth of the people that buy their products. So I'm not going to go over the same stuff I talked about in the last video. If you want to see other things to hate Nintendo for, you can watch the last video I made. But this one I want to talk about just what they've done recently. So let's start with the most pathetic thing they've done. There was a Splatoon tournament coming up a couple days ago, where it was just a Nintendo Splatoon tournament for some teams to come in and compete. for the grand prize of $25, which I think is probably the highest prize pool Nintendo's ever fucking offered because they don't show any support to competitive games. To be honest, when I heard it was a $25 grand prize, I was fucking pumping both fists in the air like, yeah, good job, Splatoon, you finally got Nintendo to shell out the big bucks for you. Because when I hear Nintendo grand prize, I usually think of cents. So I was expecting 25 cents maybe at most, but man, going all the way for $25 was nuts. And keep in mind, it's not actually 25 real world dollars. They were offering $25 worth of store credit to Nintendo service, baby! That's almost like 3 months worth of their awful online service where you get to play with dial-up connection. I mean, hey, it's a fucking great deal. Nintendo's crushing it. They hate the word competitive in regards to their games. They hate it. I guess it's a company run by people who only ever got participation trophies and now hate competition. I don't know what to tell you. But they fucking hate it and they offer no support. But anyway, they have this Splatoon tournament coming around where the teams were competing for $25 and they're not really there for the money. They're there just to have some fun. And anyway, 4 of the 8 teams that were competing, I think it was 4, had Save Melee, or some way of showing support for the Melee scene. Now, just to bring you up to speed on the lore, Nintendo recently shut down a massive Super Smash Bros. Melee tournament just because they didn't like it was being played on an emulator. It was really petty garbage, a bunch of bullshit, and the Splatoon community wanted to show solidarity with the Melee community, so they just made some variation of Save Melee or Free Melee as their team name, and Nintendo responded by shutting the entire fucking Splatoon tournament down. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but they revoked all live streaming rights of the tournament, basically just killing it from the get-go. And the Splatoon community then went to a different tournament with a $1,500 grand prize pool, which absolutely annihilates Nintendo's official one. So it worked out for the Splatoon community, but it just shows Nintendo's willingness to spit in the face of the people that love their games so much. Nintendo fucking hates gamers, I think it's safe to say at this point. They genuinely do everything they can to go out of their way to shit on the fun. And also, even more laughably, one of the Splatoon Opens, the grand prize of $25 wasn't even awarded to the team that won it. Here's a tweet from the team that won. They never even got their $25 gift card. Nintendo is such a piece of shit. Nintendo is so unbelievably heinous in all of their decisions, and I genuinely think they do it maliciously. I don't think it's incompetence. I really think they just have a hatred for the people that buy their products. They can't even be bothered to squeak out a $25 gift card for a team that loves their game that much and competes in tournaments. Like, that's so fucking bad. But it doesn't stop there for Nintendo. Their appetite was ravenous and they weren't satiated yet. They were thirsty, and the only thing that would quench their thirst were more Nintendo fans' tears in their glass. So the next thing Nintendo did is they set their sights and put the crosshairs on one man making custom Joy-Con controllers that were made to honor Etika. Etika was a YouTuber and a streamer and a huge fan of Nintendo IPs, and a man named Captain Alex was making Joy-Con controllers to honor him. And of course, Etika had the Joy-Con boys, so the controllers were outfitted with Joy-Con boys on the controller, and the money that was being made from those was going into charity. And of course, Nintendo, being the greedy, soulless corporation that it is, they sent a cease and desist shutting down production. Nintendo and cease and desist go together like cereal and milk, peanut butter and jelly. They just fit together so nicely. It's used so often. Nintendo and cease and desist are pretty much synonymous at this point. Like, from now on, if you get a cease and desist, you can just call it getting Nintendo'd by this point. They cease and desist anybody. They would send a cease and desist letter to a 4-year-old that did a crayon drawing of Super Mario if it didn't properly represent their IP. To be honest, I'm surprised that Nintendo hasn't tried to sue everyone that wears a green shirt because they say it's related to Link from their IP, Legend of Zelda. They are truly shameless garbage corporation. They are the anti-fun video game developer. And I bet you're thinking, Charlie, well, that's gotta be it, right? And you'd be wrong. They have gone on a complete rampage in only like 5 or 6 days. Today, they shut down the soundtrack for Super Mario, Zelda, and Mario Kart Wii. You can no longer hear the soundtrack on YouTube. They've blocked all of it, or at least most of it, and they're going to continue to do so. It is now forbidden music, because it's Nintendo's music. There's a few more things I was reading about in regards to how they would strong arm Twitch into not allowing certain things to be broadcast, but I feel like a lot of those aren't 100% confirmed, so I'm not going to touch on it, and I don't even need to. I think it's pretty clear Nintendo doesn't care for the people that buy their games. In fact, I go a step further and say that they genuinely fucking hate them. I don't think that's a stretch to say. I really don't. They have to go out of their way to find these things that they're shutting down and cease and desisting. They have to genuinely be scouting the entire internet to look for people to shit on. It's crazy. Now, I've already started my protest of Nintendo. I didn't buy Age of Hyrule Calamity, Chlamydia Warriors, whatever the fuck it was called. I already forgot. The Age of Hyrule Warriors Calamity, whatever. Because fuck Nintendo. I've never seen a company be so open with how much they don't like the communities that play their games. It's wild. They're not just out of touch. They're downright attacking the people that play their shit. If they're not playing it in the Nintendo sanctioned way, the Nintendo's gonna try and have your ass thrown in jail. It's a terrible company. It's horrible shit. Horrible, horrible shit, really. Fuck Nintendo. That's about it. See ya.